Hello everybody, welcome back to part 2 of the Magic Archer Elemental Daggers only run. Going over our gear once again, we have all the Elemental Dagger damage types. Sapfires are the only ones that have anything special on them. They provide a defensive down debilitation to our targets after hitting them enough times. For our outfit, we're wearing the trophy set. The jacket reduces the duration of debilitations on us. The gloves give us stamina back upon killing blows, and I want to say the boots provide us a little bit of increased equip load. For rings, we have barbed nails. For stagger, we have the Magic Archer's ring for immolate and Shadowshackle improvements, ring of desiccation to prevent drenched status, rose ring to prevent being caught on fire, iris ring to prevent freezing, and the Restless ring so that we have 100% sleep resistance for when death comes upon us. Abilities-wise, we don't have any bow abilities, so we just have Shadowshackle, Immolate, and Magic Rebalancer to buff ourselves, which of course the first two we have a ring for. And then for augments, we have Clout and Acuity for increased strength and magic, Awareness and Bastion for increased magic and physical defenses, Autonomy for increased offenses and defenses, and then Adhesion so that when enemies try and shake us off, we do not get interrupted while climbing. Beginning the final wing of Bitterblack Isle at the Rotwood Depository. I do not hear skeletons, so I know we have the Saurian Sages, so I'm going to switch to the Kunai because they are weak to dark damage. Now, if I was smart, I probably should have put a Shadowshackle down first, but that's okay. Here, I switched to the Ring of Desiccation. I don't really need the increased stagger and knockdown that the Barbed Nails provides against these guys, but I possibly will want to roll to evade some damage. If I do that without having Ring of Desiccation on, I will put out my lantern. I don't really want to do that. As you can see, dark damage, pretty effective. I'm pretty happy with it. Because we have the Goblin Shamans, or sorry, because we have the Saurian Sages, we know we're going to have Goblin Shamans in the next room. If I am fast enough, when I remember, assuming I do. Looks like I didn't. Had I remembered that beforehand, if I just start sprinting into that hallway at the very earliest moment, I won't get hit there. And even still, I almost had enough frames to forward roll to evade that, but we just barely missed it. But if I had started sprinting the moment I entered that little hallway, I could have made it all the way up that ladder without getting hit. But that's what I get for not thinking about it. Fortunately, we have fortunately, we do have the Magic Rebalancer, that's the word I was looking for, already buffed, which gives us not only magic stat improvements, but also magic defense stat improvements. There, I stood in that specific spot because there's an explosive barrel up there, and if he casts Frigger, the top of the ice column will actually hit the explosive barrel and generally launch him out of it. If he doesn't have spell screen active, he often will just die outright. But if he does have spell screen active, usually it will knock him out into the rest of the room so you can finish him off. Here I'm using Magic Rebalancer. There's nothing in this next room, however there's going to be a couple Saurian Sages, some Goblin Shamans, and some skeletons that spawn once I get to about here. I'm going to try and kill these guys first, followed by the skeletons. The Sages don't generally impact us too much, because they're just not as dangerous. I was going to say we probably should have put the iris ring on, but that is okay. Next I'll switch to the kunai so that I can't so that I can deal good damage to these guys, because again, Saurian Sages are weak to dark. Voila. Now, the next room is going to have a bunch of Goblin Shamans and Saurian Sages. However, it can also spawn an Elder Ogre. So what I'll probably do is walk to the entrance of the room and see if the Elder Ogre spawns. And if it does, backtrack. And as we see, it did. Let's see how quickly he comes to chase us down. Sometimes he's, or she, sometimes she's more efficient at pathing into that hallway than other times. So we'll have to see. As you can see, we're buffing with Magick Rebalancer. I should swap my dagger out. There we go. Elder Ogre is weak to Lightning. Often I'll start with the Sapfire daggers, though, because you can debilitate it with the Sapfire daggers, and it will improve the amount of damage we deal. You can also torpor it by putting down a Shadowsnare. It's not the most crucial, but it is useful. That's the Ring of Desiccation coming into play there. Against this guy, we do need to be pretty cautious with our health, because especially once it's enraged, pretty much every move it does will one-shot us, but before he's enraged, or I keep saying he, before she's enraged, we can actually survive a hit or two, assuming it's not some of the crazier, bigger moves. Because they just don't do quite as much damage when she's not enraged. So here, I'm just gonna keep hitting her. As you saw, while she was knocked down, we were doing considerably more damage than just now. So, and there's the debilitation, so we just got it. So now that we've got the debilitation on her, she'll take more physical damage. Just the physical. She doesn't have defensive down for magic defense. It's just the regular physical damage. As you can see, just having the Immolate active is churning on. I don't know how we got so far down on the body. It's probably because we hit the wall. The wall is like a big troll when it comes to climbing. Anything that's going to push you into a wall is going to move your position. That Shadowshackle was clutch there, because what it ended up doing was keeping her in that position for her enraged. So she was being enraged in the Shadowshackle, which was applying torpor to her while she was inside it. That means we had plenty of time while she was doing the transitional phase between being just normal and then becoming enraged to allow us to more or less just kill her before she started doing anything. Her enraging is where the fight really gets kind of dicey. Because after that point, most every attack will one-shot us, even from full health. We weren't at full health, but after that point, even if we heal to full, we will die. And in fact, during my last stream, we were attempting to do an elemental weapons only assassin run, and we kept dying to that Elder Ogre in that room because we would fight it and then it would enrage and then we'd just get one shot by something. So I wasn't playing super well, because I would like evade the thing for like so long and then just get one shot. It felt real bad. But not every day do you play super well. At least not every day do I play very well. Some days are just worse than others. I'm not the most skillful player, though, to be fair. I have a good knowledge base, and I leverage that as much as I can by employing strategy over just skill. Because when it comes to skillfully executing what I want, I'm not very good at it. I mean, I can't even climb very effectively, so yeah. Forgotten Hall, we have the Gold and Silver Knight there, the Gold Knights and the Silver Knight, because there's 2 Gold Knights. That tells me we can have Garm in this room when we go to the next segment. Garm are not the worst thing, and we actually deal pretty decent damage to them. But they are a little bit, what I would call finicky in terms of like how we have to hit them, and sometimes the tactic we use works, and other times it just kind of stops. It doesn't work for like goofy reasons, like the ground we're on isn't perfectly level, or just silly stuff like that. So I'm not applying Shadowshackle yet. I'm just gonna wait until he starts casting. There we were able to kill him beforehand, before we needed to Shadowshackle. The reason I didn't want to Shadowshackle first is because if, one, while it finishes the first cast, I have time to hit it. That chest behind us can have, like, a Auspicious Incense or a Godly Anapleptic. I'm a little confused as to why I didn't open it. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going back. Auspicious. Yeah, there we go. That's a good curative. I believe we also pick up this Wake Stone. Yeah, looks like it. I don't recall if we use it. I remember I really didn't want to use the Wake Stone, but I don't remember if we did or not. This run is particularly rough in the dragon fight because we have to melee the double dragon fight, and it's pretty hard to do the 2 dragons melee with this amount of health and like only elemental weapon damage. So, like, not that good of stagger. We don't do that great of damage to certain enemies, or to the frost worms. It's a bit much. But I don't remember. I know we did have to use a Wake Stone in one of our test runs. I don't remember if we did on this one. We'll see. We did not get the Garm spawning immediately, which is a bit of a surprise. Generally, Garm will spawn in this room, like, every single time for me. But I'm not complaining. For Garm, if you stand perfectly on their face, when you are climbing on Garm, what they'll do is they'll try and shake you off, and then they'll roll over. If you are perfectly on, like, dead center of their face, like on their snout, when they shake, you won't really lose any stamina, other than, like, the constant stamina loss you have while climbing in general. And then when it rolls over, you won't get knocked off either. So you have to be, like, perfectly positioned, and that's what I mean when it's a little awkward. What happens sometimes is that the enemy will... Do I use that and Immolate? That's what I should do. Yeah, there we go. Flameshroud. So much damage. Anyway, what'll happen sometimes when fighting Garm is they will be on like a little teeny tiny segment of the room that has that Eliminator being a bro and taking out that Siren for us. But there's the Garm. So, unfortunately, that Siren is still alive, which means if I start killing the Garm and the Siren heals it, it'll heal very quickly. So I really do want to kill the Siren first, if I can. But the Garm is not going to be nice and let me do that. But yeah, sometimes if you're like on the stairs, there's like an angle, or there's like a crate or a wall that the Garm is like up against. When it does the roll, sometimes it'll still hit you. It'll knock you off and do like silly things, just because of the way that they have like the hitboxes. That was really dangerous. The second Garm pushed the first one into me. You know, I almost was bit there. Ideally, I want to get all the way up top, have only one Garm close to me so that I can do it. Obviously, if I have 2 Garms... So there I got hit because both of them came at me like that. If only one of them came at me, I would have been fine, because I was trying to dodge roll from the first one, but the second one was just perfectly staggered to not let me through. Didn't mean to do that. I meant to grab the ledge. But that's okay. Here we can swap weapons, use the kunai, kill our siren. I don't remember if this is the second siren or the third siren. There are 3 sirens typically. Okay, cool. Now I'll swap back to the galvanized razors. Galvanic razors, rather. I'll probably rebuff. Yep, looks like it. And what I want to do is lure 1 Garm. Now this platform area here, this little area there, can work. Yeah, see here I'm right where I kind of need to be. Let's see if it continues to work though. Because we are on these stairs, and sometimes the stairs can mess us up. It looks like we're not getting the stamina loss when he shakes, and we're not getting knocked off when he rolls, so we're pretty happy with that. And this is the way I deal with the Garm for every vocation that does physical damage, obviously. It's very easy to just hop onto the face. If you're both on the same level and he like stands still, you can actually just sprint over to him and just use the grab button to climb on his face instead of like jumping. There we were on like a different level because the stairs ramp type deal. Yes, like here I could potentially, instead of jumping like I did there, because like here I might get knocked off. Yeah, see there I took a lot of stamina because I'm on the top of his head instead of being on the front, I'm on top of the head, and that's a no-no. You have to be like dead center. And the reason that happens is because I jumped. What I should have done when he jumped back after trying to lunge at me is just sprint up to his face and just press the grab button. That would have put me in the right spot. That being said, right now, he's kind of in this weird loop of trying to bite that guy for some reason. Nice. Okay, and one more. As you can see, when we get to the correct spot on the Garm, we're in a pretty good spot as far as damage goes. We take care of it quite okay. Even on my other characters, where I don't have Magic Rebalancer helping us out, we still do okay damage. Yeah, see there I didn't need to climb. I probably should... Or I didn't need to jump. I probably should roll... no, it looks like we're in a good spot. I was gonna say I should probably climb down just like a hair. But we're good. But anyway, as I was saying, even on the, like, Strider or the Assassin, when I climb onto these guys' faces, we still do okay damage with the, Galvanic Razors. Realistically, though, on those guys, if we had leveled Strength or even Neutral like we probably would be expected to. And even on this guy, the Flameshroud Blades might actually be slightly more damage. On Magic Archer, probably not, just because we do have the Magic Rebalancer. But like even leveled as Sorcerer the entire way, using the Flameshroud Blades would probably be slightly more damage. But it's whatever. And by that I mean on the other vocations, not on this one. There are 8 leaf worms here. Was that all 8? No, okay, there we go. There we go. I was like, I thought it was 6, but then we saw the one behind me, and I was like, okay, was it just 7? And then that 8th one fell, so okay, we're good. You can tell I play this game too much when I know how many leaf worms there are. Bloodless Stockade. There's going to be a couple spiders here. I like to jump around on this side because the other way has leafworms in there, and my game, the leafworm, if I walk through that way, the leafworms will spawn, which is one, annoying, but two, they like spawn and then a couple of them despawn, and sometimes I walk past them and then they spawn and I have to backtrack. If I just go around, they don't hit me, or they don't spawn in at all, so I usually just jump over this way, regardless of which character I'm playing. It has nothing to do with leafworms being like annoying or difficult or anything like that. It's just that they're annoying because the spawning is not consistent for my game. I don't know if that's a problem on my specific download or if it's a problem with the game itself. Like just how they have everything encoded. I have no idea. It doesn't really matter to me. I employed my strategy to be taking into account the fact that they despawn. I don't really need to adjust it at this time. Ooh, that was a little close. We can already hear death. It's a little bit annoying that we have death down here, just because there's a high likelihood that he uses his scythe and kills one of the Gore Cyclops that are going to be down below. But if that happens, you know, there's not a whole lot we can do about it. I'm not sure what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like chilling. I mean, now I'm buffing, but before that, I'm not really sure what I was thinking. I was just kind of watching these guys do something for some reason. Now, I don't remember what these guys are weak to. I think they're just weak to magic in general. I don't believe that they have a specific weakness. However, the prisoner Gore Cyclops, or sorry, the Gore Cyclops, which we'll be fighting in a bit when we get down there, they are weak to ice, so I might as well use ice here. That being said, if we fight death first, I'll want the Sapfires. So, we'll see. There, we're high enough to that when he covers his face with his arm, we don't get transferred to the arm. On that, the one we killed, the second one, the one we had killed just before that last guy, that's what happened. He covered his eye, and he transferred us. There are 10 bats total in here. There are 6 that are on that side, and then 4 that are on this. One already, or I say on that side, it's really, like, yeah, actually, yes, 6 on one wall and then 4 on the other. But they don't spawn in that sequence, so it's really like 7 of them kind of spawn if you walk that way, and then 3 of them spawn. But you can shoot all of those bats if you have a bow before they're active. Which is what we do on the no-hit run, because we don't want to run the risk of getting hit by a bat and losing our run. That's just tragedy. And we still haven't seen death yet, which is annoying. There he is. It's also annoying that I didn't kill that prisoner, or sorry, that vile eye. The leg of the, what is it called? The leg of that Gore Cyclops. Just a little too thick. Today is a stormy day, by the way, so if you hear some thunder or my dog whining, that's what that is. I will try and edit it out. But sometimes it's harder to do than other times. That is one thing that is nice when Death uses his lantern, he can put things to sleep for us. which is obviously brilliant. Unfortunately, he'll also side things to death occasionally, which I do not want him to do. Casually, I don't have a problem with it, but when I'm doing one of these runs, I do want to do the work myself of killing everything. Fortunately, there's only so many times death can even spawn, so the risks are low, and then even if it does happen, it's unlikely to happen for more than one or two. You're okay, puppy. My dog has noticed the storm, and so he stood up and he's nervous. But he's got his little thunder shirt on, so hopefully he'll be calm. I will just pet him for the remainder of the day. As we mentioned before, that Restless ring giving us an additional, is it like 60 or 40% sleep resistance, which puts us to 100%. I don't remember how much the rings are. Is it 60? It's either 60 or 40% that they provide. I want to say 60 though. And that's all we need to get it to 100% sleep resistance. So we can just hang out in here and wail on death while he's doing this. We just need to walk away from the sides. That being said, I'm getting dangerously close to where leaf worms spawn. I don't want to have to deal with them and death. I don't want to deal with them at all just because they're annoying. And we can completely avoid them. But I need to be a little bit mindful of which direction I walk when I'm trying to evade the side. Okay. Death is gone, so we're going to switch back to the Chilled Razors, and then we'll rebuff. Now we could have used Immolate while fighting death there, and it's not terrible, but it doesn't really do that much. And there are those Magic Rebalancers. Now we should be using the Dagger Change. Yep, Chilling Razors. And our Gore Cyclops went on a hike. So now I'm going to have to deal with that fact. Now I have two of them next to each other, which is not what I prefer. I need to be a little bit careful about standing here because it's possible that he tries to go for the grab on me, which will deal a lot of damage on me. I do not have very good physical defenses, as I mentioned before, so if he does grab me like that, it's quite likely that I burn through a fair few curatives. Because like every other, maybe every 3 ticks or something of damage is like death. Which is not that much time when you are grabbed. There might be more ticks of damage than that. It is very few though, because I do not have very good physical defenses. Unfortunately, there's not really a good method for dealing with these guys, daggers only. The best damage I could deal would be grabbing onto their face, but I can't really do that very safely because if I'm on their face, they can just grab me off of their face with their lunge grab, not even their the normal Cyclops one where they put their hand behind their head to pull you off. The lunge forward can also grab me, which is way faster animation, so it's a little scary. They can also grab me through each other, so me standing here, the second one, which I can't really see right now, can just grab me through him. He's not. He's doing a little tantrum move, which is precisely what I prefer him to be using. So we get through that fairly safely, but it could be bad. I'm happy it wasn't. So you'll see what I'll do is I'll get behind him and I'll try and deal a good amount of damage from behind. I am pretty surprised that I got stepped on there, but okay. I'll take it, I guess. Whatever. So here's a little tantrum. Next is going to be a slam to the other side, and then he's going to big step up and he's going to stomp, and then he's going to turn back and do a double fist slam down. Now sometimes you can grab onto the face before he does these moves, or like while he's doing them, and it gives us time to do this. I kind of missed it early, but we still managed to get up here in time because of the torpor we had from the Shadowsnare on the ground. But a win's a win. I'm trying to think of how many times we've run into death. Is it 3 times now, or is that 2? I don't recall. We had him Garden of Ignominy. We had him in... Did we have him in the Fortress of Remembrance? I don't believe so. We did have it in the... Actually, I don't recall. I'm trying to remember whether he had it in the Vault of Defiled Truth. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. On to the Sparyard of Scant Mercy. I saw a glimpse of the second Frostdrake, or Frostworm rather, so I know we have those. Magic Rebalancer is really good against these guys because it's gonna, 1, modify our damage, but, and this is probably the more important part, it's going to give us good magic defense. It scales our magic defense up a great deal. Here I'll probably put on the Iris Ring so that I don't freeze. It's less crucial than the Rose Ring. If we had a Fire Drake in here, the Rose Ring actually will keep us from catching fire, which saves us from a lot of potential damage. The Iris Ring, while it does prevent us from freezing, isn't as crucial. Our lantern just went out, so I'll probably fix that momentarily. I'm surprised I haven't fixed that. I guess I wanted to get that Stagger first, or maybe I just haven't noticed. Here I'm getting a Shadowsnare out. It's just for the torpor. It's really awkward to use though, because I have 2 dragons. It's just very slow now. But the other dragon is still full speed. Ooh, it sounds like the other dragon flew into the air. Yes, it did. That's actually quite good for me. It basically gives me free reign to wail on this guy, for the most part. Okay, the other one landed. Just heard it hitting the ground. If I can kill this one quickly... Hell yeah. Okay, that was quite good, frankly. Because in our practice runs, there were times where we would have the first dragon like heal a couple times if we had the double frost one, just because we would get circumstances where I have to back off of hitting the dragon enough times that it just gets the opportunities to heal. Not what I'm looking for, obviously, but you know, whatever. The Hearthspud's nice. Now I should probably be trying a Magic Rebalancer. What's nice about this fight is, that's very generous of him. What's nice about, oh, it canceled it right at the last second. What is nice about this fight is that, because of the moves that the Frostworms do, it's very easy for us to use Magic Rebalancer without getting completely manhandled. Magic Rebalancer also is valuable in both effects that it has instead of just one. Another thing is that I don't have to use stamina outside of buffing and then activating Flameshroud. I'm probably going to wait till the second Bolide comes down before I Flameshroud. Yep. The second Meteor, rather, not the second Bolide. The second Meteor. Now, we did not torpor this one. I don't know that I will torpor it. It's not really necessary. Torpor gives us really big windows when there's two of them, and we don't get windows very often. When there's only one, they don't often interrupt us to a strong enough extent that it merits really investing in the Shadowsnare, which they might just move out of, is the thing. If Shadowsnare was so consistent they never moved out of it, I would use it every time. The problem is large enemies will frequently just move out of it and then they're no longer torpored. Okay. Curse Dragon spawn, right as we were about to leave too. Heaven's Keys, they're weaker to holy damage. If we don't get too close to it, it won't notice us until we get much closer, so we can buff up safely over here. Now this one I do like to use Shadowsnare on, because it's fairly easy to manipulate what this dragon does. And it gives us really big windows that we can take good advantage of. Whereas some of the other dragons don't give us as good of windows. Like that. Like, look how easy it was to manipulate that into how I wanted it. I should have let go of that ages ago. I'm not really sure what I was thinking. That's okay. Next, it should probably try and roar at me. It'll be after this spin to win, I guess. Yep, there we go. It's no longer torpor, so we might actually have a shot of evading the breath by timing it. Yep. If I manipulated my character better, we could have grabbed back onto the chest, or usually the shoulder, actually. That's okay. That was a very clean fight, though. I'll take it. It's fast and clean. It helps when we get to Magic Rebalancer before entering combat with them, and we don't have, like, weird terrain features like we do in the Tower of Treason's Repaid. Fallen City, I don't see an Eliminator down there, so that tells me I have the Living Armor configuration, which is cool, because we get to showcase Immolate, absolutely shredding the first phase of Living Armor with our physical damage. It's just a little bit goofy. It's just a little bit goofy in terms of like how much damage we can do. I turned off my lantern, or put away my lantern rather, because I want the dragon to roost before I start doing things. With this configuration, there's only one dragon. It's a Bitterblack Isle Thunder Wyvern. The other configuration has two Grancis level Wyverns. They're much weaker, they die very quickly, but there's two of them and they roost up top. This one roosts in the courtyard down below, so it's very easy to evade his attentions so long as we don't move forward at the beginning. Now watch how much damage we do to this guy. Like, what is that? And it's like, we saw that it was doing physical damage, right? And then once it transitioned to him losing his armor, we were still doing magic damage, like the same amount. It does both. It's like, I want to say what it's probably doing is physical damage in the form of fire. And because fire is a magical, this is my assumption. This is not, like, point in fact. But my assumption is it's dealing physical damage in an elemental type. And because of that fact... Oh, feels bad. Because of that fact, when it comes to phase 2, it still does damage because it's like, okay, this is fire damage. We're not immune to fire damage. I don't know. It's possible that it works kind of like Canon, where Canon has both a physical and a magic element of what kind of damage it is. It does both bludgeoning and magic damage. I genuinely don't know. What I do know is that it's very effective in both phases. So Immolate makes those guys absolute pushovers. And I love it. Another Wake Stone over here. Again, I don't recall using it. We didn't use it on the dragon. There's still always potential that we die against Daimon. Daimon is always capable. So there is that possibility. I don't recall doing that, but there is always that possibility. Now here we have 1 living armor remaining, but we also have that dragon. For me to aggro this living armor from melee, I have to also get the attention, or I will also get the attention of the dragon. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to get the attention of the dragon deliberately before the living armor. That'll allow me to fight the living armor without the dragon trying to breathe at me, which is not difficult. I can very easily kill the living armor because the dragon doesn't really hit you very often when you fight in that hallway. The problem is the camera becomes distorted because he'll use his breath attack, and it does still the visual effect even if it doesn't hit you. So it's less safe. I'm more afraid of getting hit by the living armor because the dragon's breathing at me than getting actually hit by the dragon. So to evade that, we'll just move this way and take care of this dragon. We already demonstrated how to do it earlier when we fought one in the Dustman Tower. It's no different here. Let's see if I climb up the spine this time. I do. We're climbing right up the back. Now, if you'll notice, we'll start taking damage as we get higher on the body. Just a tick of damage occasionally. We can also chain lightning to allies if we have them, but we don't have any. So we'll just take 1 point of damage fairly constantly. And this is why we wanted to do it that way. It's very easy to do the instant knockdown straight into letting go, straight into the Flameshroud, right into grabbing him right back. And us not doing that on the one in Dustman Tower was a little bit silly on my part, I'm not gonna lie. See how much smoother that was. Now, that's not to say that this remains smooth the whole time. You can still shake us off, and we have to jump here to avoid getting shaken and whatnot. When he flies into the air, we also take a big hit in terms of stamina loss. But, you know, it's still a lot more efficient than the way we fought the other one in Dustmoon. That being said, we also missed the tail, jumping on it, I mean, like 3 times during the Dustmoon fight, just to start it off, so there was that. We also have the physical debilitation on it, so now its defenses are down. I just stayed on because I know he doesn't shake me off. He doesn't have enough time to shake me off before he dies, because I had enough stamina. So I just elected to stay up top on him. This is not too bad. And I don't use a whole lot of stamina fighting everything else. When I climb, I consume a good amount of stamina, but everything else is fairly straightforward. Just because all I have to do is buff 4 times and then use Flameshroud. Everything else is just forward rolls, which are free, or, you know, light attacks, which are also free. By free, I mean they don't consume stamina. Okay, so here I'm using the strat that I usually will use as a physical vocation, which is to bring him over here and have him jump up and down on this ledge, because he will get staggered every time he jumps up and down. He'll stay down in that, like, defensive curl. Maybe not defensive curl, because it's not a defensive curl. But he'll stay down and he'll have to stand up from the fall position. It's very consistent, very convenient. It's very safe is what it is. It doesn't really speed the fight up necessarily, although oftentimes it will on the characters that want to use it, because it is a dangerous fight. But I probably should use that King. Oh, right, we're going to have eliminators. I was going to say we should probably have used that King Warish, because I think if Daimon does, like, his lunging punch at me, he probably one-shots me, but I kind of forgot about these. So here we'll probably Flameshroud again and just wail on him that way. It's just an effective tactic. Looks like it. Flameshroud just a little bit too good. I do want them separated, though, because if they all start doing their little Havoc slams, I will get caught. Ow. Yeah, Auspicious was a good idea. That's unfortunate. I just don't want to get stomped, is the thing. If I get stomped, it's all over. So we keep getting hit. So what we're going to do is we're going to separate them. I should have done this at the start, obviously, because we did get hit, but hindsight's 20/20. Fortunately, I don't really need to. Generally, I will pull them all the way to the cliffside on the other end of this maze of rooms. I say maze, it's not really maze, but on the other side of this sequence of alleys. It's not really necessary here because we just do so much damage from Immolate when we actually do get the opportunity to be close to them, that even if I just have a little bit of space where there's only one of them, I'm pretty much safe to do as I wish. But I didn't respect them well enough at the start, and that's my fault. That is my fault. With this configuration, we can have Death as a carrion beast to spawn. I'm not hearing it, so it looks like it doesn't spawn. The other one can have... The other ones can have the Cursed Dragon. That's another reason why that configuration sucks. It has more eliminators, difference between 3 and 8. The same number of living armor. Only the living armor are all condensed next to each other. It has 2 dragons, and then a 3rd dragon can spawn. All of them are on rooftops, so they notice you very easily. It's just a worse configuration. Daimon. You'll see I'm going to start with Magic Rebalancer. We want the damage. I have the Heaven's Keys equipped. Daimon's weaker to holy damage. We could also use the Sapfires and give him the physical debilitation. I want to say he can get the physical debilitation, but he's just weaker to holy anyway. It doesn't make a huge difference. The Shadowsnare is, if we're lucky, we can get him forward, which gives me just a lot of time to hit him. In this case, we didn't really succeed. All we managed to do was have enough time to dodge the attack that he was throwing our way, but if we didn't try and use the Shadowsnare in the first place, we wouldn't have been in the situation where we needed the time to dodge it at all. So, a little bit of a catch-22. We almost got hit because of the Shadowsnare, but we didn't get hit because of the Shadowsnare. A little goofy. A real chicken and egg situation. But, oh well. The way Daemon Fight works, he can use one set of moves up until he's missing about 2.5 health bars. After that point, he can start going to the center to use Soul Vortex. At about 3 health bars missing, he will go to the center to do Soul Vortex. When he does Soul Vortex, he'll do the defensive curl, whether you stagger him out of the Soul Vortex or not. And then that's going to be basically our biggest damage opportunity. Now, if I wanted to, I could have climbed on this guy's face and wailed on him that way, but it doesn't give me a good time to use Magic Rebalancer again. Whereas if I don't climb on, I could use Magic Rebalancer here. I'm not sure which one's better, frankly. It's probably better for me to get the extra damage by staggering him out of this and then possibly getting a stagger on the other thing. That's assuming I even managed to do that amount of damage. I don't actually know. I don't remember. We also had a very good jump onto his face there. Sometimes we are not that consistent or lucky with it, so I'm quite happy. I don't think we get a stagger here, just because our stagger... Ooh, we just barely got it. I was going to say our stagger buildup is not that impressive. If I had something like 100 Kisses, it'd be better, because we'd just be hitting more times. But we don't, so it's not. But yeah, after he comes out of that, if we shave off, like, to, I think 5 health bars are missing, he'll start casting Bolide and Sizen, along with all of the other abilities. So it becomes a little dangerous. Phase 2 is the same. He has 1 set of moves until we get to 2.5 health bars, where he can then go to the center, or 3, where he will go to the center and cast Soul Vortex. And then after Soul Vortex, if he gets 4 health bars missing, is when he starts in Phase 2 casting Sizen and Bolide. This fight's going to be a lot slower. We can't deal nearly as much damage to him with our setup. And we don't have the means to really get to his face consistently either. Not that we were going to get to his face consistently. But what we do here is we will climb on him. Since we're climbing, there's 2 spells that I'm concerned about. The arms is not one of them. The spells I am concerned about are his Immolate Explosion of move, which is this right here. Let's see if it hits me. Yes, it does. I should use an interventive so that I'm not on fire. But anyway, his Immolate, and then the other move that's dangerous for him is Lightning, or for us, climbing him is Lightning. His 11 can and often will hit us. It's evadable. Both of those moves you can evade. They are just finicky about it. We want to have Flameshroud active. This is a great move for us to climb on. We can't be in front of him for it, but it gives us the opportunity to climb all the way up. We can get all the way to the tippity top of his head. And unfortunately, the first move he uses is 11, which in turn knocks us down. As I have said, that's the other move that we don't really want him to do. And this is why he's a little bit rough. Now, if we had the Gloves of Might, which we get, I think it's from the Notice Board quest in Castradus in post-game, it's to go kill the Griffin by Hillfigure Knoll, although you don't have to kill that one specifically. You just have to kill a Griffin. It just happens to be possibly the only one in post-game. But anyway, oh, that scared me. I thought he was going to get the grab off because he didn't go anywhere. But anyway, the Gloves of Might, what they do is they give us increased climbing speed. It gives us the Strider's climbing speed, which is very good. Now, we're all the way up at the top of his head. We want this position. The reason we want this position is we can jump off of his head when we're all the way up at the top and evade the Immolate very consistently. Levin harder. Levin, the way I generally will evade that one is by rotating around his body like around at his shoulders if I'm on like a Strider or something using a faster ability or a faster climbing speed, so the Gloves of Might. Here's another Immolate. See? Able to evade that one. Now my goal right now, the only goal I have is to try and get this guy's health down to about 2.5 health bars, because if he gets to 2.5 health bars without me having to get knocked off again, I can basically transition to the next phase. That move that he's casting there possesses you or your pawns. You can be possessed. When you are possessed, what happens is your pawns will just attack you whether they're possessed or not. Because you're considered evil, you still have control of your character. But your pawns will attack you. That's how it works if you get possession instead of your pawns. Fortunately, we don't have pawns, so if I did get possessed, it doesn't matter. But I'm pretty sure it also deals a little bit of damage, possibly some stagger if you're too close. So we just ran away. You see I'm buffing again. So the arm swings don't really bother me. They can hit you while you're on him, but if you just jump up, it's very easy to evade them. And unfortunate, the moment we get up there, yep, I was gonna say that's gonna hit me. Because I'm knocked down, I should be immune to that damage, which is fortuitous, considering we got knocked down by the unfortunate Levin. For whatever reason, the Debilitation clouds he casts are going to be on the ground, so that Petrification, or Miasma, I think that's Petrification. That Petrification is not a concern of mine. I don't know why I didn't jump off. Also, if you're on his head at the tippity top, if you're all the way up there, and you are trying to... Alright, he's going to the center to do Soul Vortex, most likely. I'll probably buff up here. But if you're all the way up at the top of his head and he starts casting Levin, don't jump off. What you should do is release your grab and then use your double jump to move laterally away. That way you're not getting hit by the first Levin that comes down. The reason you want to release your grab instead of jumping is because if you jump, it puts you higher and you'll generally splat when you hit the ground, and you'll take damage. You'll also have to stand back up. Whereas if you don't do it that way, and instead you elect for the release your grab button followed by a second jump, or really it's your first time pressing the jump button, but you'll make use of the double jump passive. If you do your second jump that way, then you'll have the opportunity to evade the lightning without getting caught. There, I'm healing up a bit because I know I'm going to get hit by this. I don't want it to be too much damage. I wasn't sure how much damage it would be. Honestly, not that bad. There we use the interventive because we were skill stifled. I do not want to be skill stifled. It's not the worst thing in the world because we were already buffed and we already had our Immolate active, but... So that's us just letting go, and then that's the double jump. There, we were able to just move our body in a way that we managed to evade the Levin. But I will say, I have a hard time successfully doing that consistently. I'm not sure where those arms are coming from, if I'm being honest. They look really weird. Hey, we got a health rock. Now, there I jumped, which was a foolish notion, because that's the same problem here. What's nice about it, though, is when Daimon casts Seism, the Seism will actually cast at the height your character is. So if you're climbing on Daimon, the first Seism will be that high. So if you jump down, when the rubble explodes, it'll just be in the air above you. So you actually don't take damage until it lands. That being said, you can still get the jelly legs, you'll still get staggered. But you won't, like, it's not like a death sentence. If you, so long as you manage to let go and get away from him a little bit, even if you splat on the ground, you should be okay until the rocks fall. That's us dodging the Immolate again. Like I said, it's not that bad so long as you get to the top. The reason we're not on the face in the middle of his chest is because we can't jump high enough to evade that move. You also can't jump far enough away to evade that move. Once again, release and then jump to make distance. You don't need to jump the first one. If you jump the first one, you'll just take a splat. That's a Debilitation Cloud. So long as we get high, we evade it. Don't know what that was. This is definitely one of the better segments. We miss. As I say that. As I say this is one of the better segments, we get absolutely... we faceplant. Yeah, I was gonna say, I should have an Auspicious. I would use the Auspicious. The reason I'm saying we should use Auspicious instead of Lordly is because the Auspicious Incense weighs more. I generally want to use the heavier stuff earlier because it's, it gives me... I'm more likely to have a lighter equip load if I don't have anything heavy, which I think we're already in the light equip load, but you know, using heavier things means I maintain below certain thresholds, which is good for my stamina recovery and movement speed, things like that. I don't think it actually matters this run because we don't have enough in our inventory, but later when we do an assassin run, we have a lot more stuff in our inventory because we can use shields, swords, bows, daggers, and it's a bit more. It's a bit more weight. Fortunately, these boots, I'm pretty sure, give us a... oh, I thought he stopped moving. But anyway, these boots give us a equip load increase, carrying capacity. So we actually can carry all that stuff, plus some curatives without too much difficulty. I have no idea how we didn't get knocked down there, by the way. Splatted, I mean. That was a bit unfortunate. We attempted climbing like 3 times, 4 times there, and we never managed to get to where we needed to, other than like once where we had to immediately let go because of the arm swing. We have to just jump up to evade that. For Bolide, what I'll often do is, Bolide will always come from behind, or sorry, in front of the character that casted it. So, for us, if Daimon's facing us, I want to get to the other side of Daimon, because that means the Bolides are going to be coming my way, which means the likelihood that one is targeting the ground behind me and streaks through me, and I don't see that, is extremely limited. Because if I'm on the far end of the room from where they're coming from, there's only a little bit of real estate that could possibly hit me. Whereas if I stay on the side they're coming from, most of the room is dangerous. And I don't like that. I say we should be immolating soon. Or flame shrouding. Because we have the ring. Bolide's a totally fine spell for him to use against us, by the way. Bolide only targets the ground. For us to get hit by Bolide, it has to have a trajectory that's aiming randomly way across the room, and it passes through where we are, which is just incredibly unlikely. Again, we should have just let go and then jumped, but no, neither here nor there. But as you see how high those are exploding? If I was down below them, I'm still relatively safe, so long as I don't like jump up. This looks like he's gonna Soul Vortex, and yep, there we go. Kind of similar to at the beginning of this fight, where we said 2.5 health bars missing to 3. It's kind of the same here, only it's when it's remaining. Like 2.5 health bars remaining is when he can start choosing to use Soul Vortex, and like as he gets to 2 health bars remaining is when he'll be like, all right, I need to Soul Vortex now. So you can kind of anticipate whether he's going to do that. And knowing and paying attention to that factor, by the way, is extremely important on something like a no-hit run, where you're trying to not only just evade damage, but you're trying to evade getting hit by things that like stagger you. Or so on my runs, I consider the stamina reduction if I get hit by the stamina drain on the Soul Vortex. I consider that a hit on my no-hit runs. So if you're playing something like I do, knowing that, okay, it's possible he Soul Vortexes here is incredibly valuable, because you can, one, plan out your stamina to take most advantage of when he's vulnerable during the defensive whirl or the Soul Vortex. And then you could also, in addition to planning out your stamina, you can also make sure that you don't get hit by things. In this case, I don't know whether I was paying attention or not beforehand. Or if I noticed it at the same time I did just now. It's very possible, because we were focusing so intently on trying to do the climb, which I am not typically good at, which is why I'm a little bit distracted by the climb itself. This should be far enough. Flameshroud. But the reason it's not as necessary here is because it doesn't really, I don't need to pool stamina to be effective. I also don't need to evade the stamina drain to have my run adhering to the rules I set for myself. Oh my gosh. I just can't get to his face. That was very close. The top of his chest is only as high as we need to be. We don't actually need to be all the way up here at his head. I just find it easier if I get all the way to the head. Because sometimes you'll get to like hitting his like chest, but not the face on his chest, and so you're not doing as much damage. But all told, that was a pretty clean run. Or pretty clean fight. We only got low in the entire run. We only got low like once or twice. And by low, I mean like in the red health. We did take a good number of hits, but we still have a decent amount of curatives. Like there's a Godly Anapleptic in this room. We picked up 2 Wake Stones on our way here. We didn't use either one of them. Maybe even 3. No, just 2. All told, not a bad run. If you guys are considering doing this yourself, I would definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Magick Archer is kind of a class that you can do elemental damage very effectively from melee, and that's about the only one. But with that, I want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I do have more stuff that I'm working on, so hopefully those will be coming out in the next weeks or so. But be sure to drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and hit me with a follow if you haven't already, or subscribe. Take care, everybody. Cheers.